Penland Crusader here, and welcome to part 2 of the Farmall H radiator repair. So it's been a little more than a radiator repair, what with the water pump being bearings shot and getting the other tractor out to receive some donor parts of it, and so service all round, setting the tappets. We've got new foil filter coming, new rocker cover gasket coming, and bits and pieces, change the oil, and bit of a colour up, and bring it sort of well back into being. So yeah, sit back and enjoy, and let's hope she's all good for the road run. Okay then, so I've been out and collected a few bits today. We'll have to put the radiator under test and see what it does, but it's believed to be good. And also retrieved a fresh heat shield, and we're just talking about a manifold, and lo and behold, if he hadn't got one there as well, and it's in a lot better condition than mine, so we had to come away with that one, because mine's trumpet's all welded up, which broke and so forth all through. But I've also got a little plate stuck on the side here. I'm just holding together with a bit of spring tension there, to because it's got a massive hole in the side there, and she's just cackling all the time, not nice and sweet as it could be. So hopefully a change of manifold will be good. And so I said to put the radiator under test and see what happens there, and we'll go from that, sort of go from there. Okay, so I've got fired up. I'm going to have a go at freeing these bolts up in the bottom of the tombstone, which is that one right in there. Sort of freed it off, it's just getting the rubber split pin out. Okay. So that's the split pin. You wouldn't never have got it out if you didn't warm it up and cool it off. The rust would just hold it. So that's one good look of it. And to be fair, your drain pipe ain't not in a very good place, to be fair, but that's loose. So what we'll do, I'll just get in there and wire brush that. But before I do that, I'll set to and warm the other side up. I think the old floor made it easy for wheeling the bottles around them. Okay, so I took the bung out look and the worm's coming out. Just turns and it screws itself out. So I will save that worm because I'm just wondering whether it's the same as the Model A box. Because the tractor I've got, which was Dad's tractor, the Model A, it's got a hell of a lot of whap in its steering, and there's no means of adjusting the worm in the box to get it to mesh in closer to to shut it up. So I might, if that was sort of the same pitch, same type of worm, I could probably do a bit of an experiment with bearings and bits and pieces. So I will hang on to that bit. Okay, so the radiator is ready to lift off now, then. So I'll bring you back when there's more to show. So got the nuts and springs out off the bottom of my radiator. So with a bit of luck, she should come out. And there we have it. There you are, look, 2 rads. Now I've got the fan guard off mine, like, but I mean, the only difference is that one's got this crossbar on where mine isn't, but it's got 2 bolts in it, so it can come off. And them's the offending bolts, look, the studs, which you want a good clean up. Get a good clean up, and then they'll be good to go again. At least it salvaged them and didn't break them out the bottom of the radiator, which would have been really bad. So that's it. So it's 6 o'clock now on Saturday night, and I think the tea's ready, so I'm going to call it a day and start making more video. Okay, so we've got the water in the radiator and the core's clear for what we have got. I'll get a light to it. We've got a little leak, look, right in the back of that top tail, look, with a pipe on, right next door to that little flake of paint. So it's obviously, it's got a little bit of a crack in there, so we need to address that. But other than that, the radiator will be fine. Now, the idea is, I mean, yeah, we've got to stop the water leak on the tractor, whatever we do, whatever we use it for. But the idea is, I want to run this one on the road run this year. We did the Standard Force last year, and with moderate success, but a good success on the second run. So we're going to have a go with this one. So it's a bit of a rave getting the radiator off, but while we're in here, we can address a few other things. And one of them, which is this, which I've just found. if I can hold the phone still enough. She's got a bit of an headache, look. You sort of can't see that on the picture there very well. I'll just try and there, look. So we need to take out the bits. I mean, we needed to clean the threads up on here. Let's get the light. Yeah, get them threads all cleaned up on there so the belts can be adjusted. And the first obstacle is my little screw is stuck in. So yeah, we can have a sort out of all them bits and make it good. I'm going to order a new bottom hose and might as well try and get a new top one if I can. And I could do with a new rocker cover because she's got a little bit of oil back down there. Look. So we'll just do a few bits and we'll get her in order again. So, and like I say, like you know, new belt. Whoop, there, new belt. Look, she's all right in and around this yard, but obviously you start batting down the road run for 2 hours. Yeah, we need to have a bit of better belt than that. And so yeah, we'll crack on and do a few bits. And the first one being, we've got to address that screw. We need to get him out. I suppose I could cut the belt and I could set to and warm that up and get him out. Might be a better idea. In fact, I think it will be. So we'll crack on with that. Right, so we're don't know whether you'll be able to see that, look, but it's got a hell of a headache in there. And the thing is, it wasn't leaking water. The radiator was leaking water, but not this. So I slackened all the bolts off. We'll get her apart, and see what get her on the bench, see what we can sort out, bearing wise, and hopefully the carbon gland will be okay. You never know your luck when you start taking stuff to bits, but then it gives me a good chance of getting all this sort of freed off. So we'll get that on the bench and see what we can do. Okay, so I've had to Google this one, and this is actually a gland nut, as it's supposed to be. But when you drop that in there, look, don't quite know how it's got to be as sloppy as that. I mean, threads is visible on that, and there is just. I've just scratched it out with a scriber. There, look, you can just see the threads are as flat as anything, and there's probably less than 1 millimetre of depth of thread. And it's 3/4 UNF. I just had the thread gauges in it to see, and looked in the Zeus book, and it's 3/4 UNF. I could make another nut for that, but the threads are that thin in there, they just make you wonder whether it's worthwhile. And what I've been thinking is, I've got another Farmall H in the bottom shed. which I've got all new tin work and bits and pieces. It's a 4-wheeler one, and although it's got a good running engine in it, water pumps and hose pipes and so forth are all in good order, and fan belt for that matter. So I've always had the idea I'd put a Perkins 4236 in it, and so I'm thinking that probably that's what I will end up doing. Then I can pinch the water pump and all the pipes and the belts off that one to make this one okay. Because if I do eventually put a diesel in it, you've got an engine there with a good pump and bits and pieces on you're not going to be using. So I might as well make use of the bits and put them on this one. So that's the way I'm thinking at the moment. But as always, to get that one out of the shed is just almost a monumental task again. We'll just go and have a quick look. Go on, boys. Come on, off you go. Of course, I'll not paint this one will stay original, so and you can just see the snout overlooked. She just sits in that corner. Well, in order for me to get in there, all that stuff's got to be moved, these stillages will have to be moved, and so forth. But at the same time, it'll bring that tractor further on if I take all the bits and pieces off it that I want, even right down to look. Well, no, I shan't take the radiator because I shall want that. Yeah, so that's me thinking at the minute. I've just got to get my arse into gear to set to and move all this stuff, because I have to reach in there to the teleporter to get it out. Got one flat wheel at the back, but I can bring some air supply down here to try and pump that up. So yeah, cold windy day, wet on the floor. Outside jobs don't go just nice. But that's my plan at the moment anyway. Okay, so we're retrieving the other Farmall H out of the corner of the shed, which has been there, well, I think how long it's been there now, probably 12, 14 years, something like that. And so we're just hauling it out so we can retrieve all the bits off the front and just give it a once over, because we're going to put the Perkins in that one eventually. So yeah, this is what we're on with today, and I've got to shift a few bits and get it in there, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so while we're having a bit of a clean up, the rocker cover's leaking quite badly, so we took the opportunity to take the cover off, and we'll fit a new gasket when it comes. It's on order, and we'll get the chance of doing the tappets. And I've just been through them to see where they're at. Yeah, we've got some loose and some tight, so we're going to put them at 14. And to allow for a bit of wear in the tappets. I mean, they're getting a good age now. They say sort of 16, 17 cold, but I'm going for 14 because most of these, there is there's two that's bigger than 14, but the most are around about 14, and then there's like a couple of tight ones. So we're going to put them all at 14, so they're all the same. And I mean, there's nothing. Well, I took all the spark plugs out, so it makes it easy to. I can just get hold of the pulley with my hand and turn it over. you know, because I can't put starting handle in because it don't fit that piece because it's a separate unit in the tombstone. But so yeah, we'll just crack a nut and then turn the screw with a screwdriver till we've got the required gap, and then lock it off and job's done. And as with the other engines we've done, we work from the middle, or from the front if you like, to do the back, and the second one to the second one in, and the third one to the third one until you meet in the middle, then work back the other way. Like I say, there is some where you could do two in one position, but I like to run them through them all individually, and then I'm happy that I've got them, like, you know. So we'll get that sorted, and like I say, we're going to have a clean up because we're going to put a bit of paint around the engine, because the engine is absolutely, well, no paint on it whatsoever. So that's what we're on with at the minute. Okay, so I've done the back set. Now we've got the back ones down, so we're going to do is number one. And this is quite slack, this one. So just slacken the lock nut, give it a little pinch up, the middle one, put that in. Just so it's got a nice, just a nice bit of resistance, that's good. So the plugs are out, so it's easy to turn. So we go with the next one along down, and she's down there now. So that's ready for this one. And that one is very tight, can't get it into going at all. Yeah, that's good. So like a third one along and down. Which is there. So that'll be this one. Oh, that's got a lot of room in it. You can just tell. Yeah, it's surprising. That's actually not too bad. Yeah, we can leave that one. So we've just got the one left to do. So when this one goes down, which is there. Yep, that one's slack. Yeah, well, that was on. It's just a little bit slack, but oh, that's better. Yeah. So that's pretty much sorted them. I mean, they're not that far out, but at least they're all the same now. So she should sound okay. We'll get the fresh manifold all put on, and the new gaskets, which is all on order, and the new oil filter, we'll change the oil, so it's all good and done and ready for the road run. It's alright, was just here messing about, you know, in and around the yard, and doing the odd jobs in the field. You know, it's been, yes, she runs okay apart from the water leak we had, but going down the road, things need to be in a little bit more order. And the fan belt was one because it gets cracked in several places, and obviously the water leak. So if we've got this bit done and all the gaskets done, and a better manifold because the one was blowing a bit, you know, things should be good, and she should go well on the day. So we'll have to wait for the couple of days waiting for the gaskets to come. So what I'll do, I'll just pop the cover back on, so otherwise it just keeps the spiders out until we get a gasket. Okay, so I've just fitted the water pump back on there, look, it's still loose, look. So I've just got to tighten the bolts up, and hopefully should be okay, and that'll be another good job done. So I'll crack on and gaskets all greased up, and so it'll be all so you see where I'm going with that. Then what I'll do, I'll slip the bypass hose on when we come to put the other piece on, and then that'll ease that situation of trying to squeeze that bloody pipe in there. And we're going to take it outside, give it a wash. I've got some wooden plugs to plug her up. I'm going to give her a wash, and I'm going to put a little bit of paint just around the engine because it's got that bloody horrible blue on it. And most of this you'll not see anyway because it's under the nose cone. But it's like this plate. I made that plate and put on there, the water jacket plate, many years ago. And the funny thing is, on this tractor, I actually bought a plate and put on it. Get on the right side of the tractor. I actually bought that one and put on there. But anyway, I made that one, so it's good enough for the job. Been on there a lot of years, it's doing okay. So yeah, I'm going to get her outside and give her a wash, and then I can give her a bit of a paint up before I start putting all the radiators and bits and pieces back on. Catch you later. Okay, so we're back on the bench now, and so I've got my new manifold in here, and although the new manifold in the casting is all good, it had got some broken off bolts, sheared bolts, so I managed to get this one out, and I've still got some reasonable threads in there, so that's good. And this one, I got it loose, and then just at the very last, it sheared its head off, but I can spot that up with weld and get the grips on it again and see if I can screw it back down and yeah, and keep working it. That was the only good stud that was left on it. This one was already broke off. I was a trumpet on, but this one is loose. And although it won't just come straight out, so I've just got to keep working that one now until I get him out. And then the jobs are good and like, so quite pleased with that. Hopefully this time it'll stop it from cackling, because she was cackling quite badly. And so yeah, so, and there's the trumpet, and as you can see, it's not been welded or anything like my other one, and just wants the bottom clean. If it don't clean up too well, I'll pop it in the milling machine and reface it, just so as it's gets a good seal. So right, I keep ploughing in. A few jobs to do yet. So you can see I've just had a bit of a clean up, and we just put a bit of paint on, and it's new paint, international paint, and I just mixed a bit of a quantity of red oxide in it, just to tone it down a bit, and just painted it sort of sympathetically in a place or two, just to bring it up a bit better, because especially on this side of the engine, I mean all the way along there and all the way along here, it was just like thick blue paint, and it like, well, solid. I mean, the paint scraper wouldn't touch it. So by the time it's got to a bit of muck and dust, and had been rubbed around with an oily rag, I mean, not give it a full gloss coat. And I started to do similar to the bonnet and the nose cone, just to brighten it up a little bit and get away from this blue paint that was on it. Blue paint was all over the place, and there's just some dark areas in there, and that was the blue paint. But I've just coloured it up a little bit, stood back and just, almost just overspray, like, stood well back with a spray gun, just oversprayed it, just to give it the look. And from back here, when it's all pieced together, it'll look like it's a good, well-used tractor. So, with the water pumps off the other tractor, I have done the gland nut. Just put a bit more stuff in and tighten it up and just give it a little bit, but there's no movement in this one whatsoever. It's lovely. So that's a good result, and that's the donor tractor that it's come off like. So yeah, we're progressing now. We're just still waiting for my bits to come. Hopefully they'll be here tomorrow. If not, hopefully Saturday morning. So I painted my air breather and my blooming fuel tank, because they're absolutely threadbare paint. I'm just going to clean the thermostat housing up, so it can go back on with its new bypass hose, and that's where I am now. So I'll crack on with that, and then we'll start bolting the air cleaner and bits back on it, and then I've got to go down the yard. I've got a generator and a bracket down the yard I'm going to put on here. I'm having to make this because the Farmall one is a special one. It's not just a normal Lucas one, like. But I should just put a Lucas dynamo on, so I've got the battery for the starter, so at least it can be doing some charging. So yeah, quite pleased the way it's going, and we'll crack on and do a bit more. Okay, so this is my trumpet, as I call it, which is your exhaust top, and when that's on there, you're not going to see. You're not going to see what the camera can't see what I can see, but I can see daylight underneath there. No, you can't see it through the camera, but it has got daylight, so that means that these ends are obviously high and the middle's low, and that's why the trumpets always leak, same as like a thermostat housing. So what I will do, I'll pop this in the mill and I'll just face it off. I could actually put it in a lathe for that matter, but one way or another I will face it off, and then when my new gasket comes, it'll make a perfect seal and then keep good for a long while. I've repaired the studs in here. I got that one out, and I've made studs as opposed to bolts, because when the bolts screw into there, and they get rusted up, as they do, hot and cold and rust, then you can't get the buggers out. So I've opted to put a stud in there, and then at least you've got the option of warming the nut up to get the nut off. and then that way, you know, it's a lot easier for me. And then I've just got to make a fresh stud for that one, like there, which holds the trumpet on. And these ones are for the tin. These ones are for the tin guard and the heat shield. I've just got one to make for that one there. So, you know, progress is steady, but we're getting there. So we're just getting a nice clean face on there now. This cut will just about do it. So there it is. Got a nice clean face on there now. So that should nip the new gasket up nicely. Job well done. Okay, so these studs, when I finally got them bolts out of them holes, 3/8 UNC, and when you put a 3/8 UNC stud in there, they were a bit on the loose side. So we had a look, and 3/8, it focuses in. Come on. There you go. 3/8 is slightly smaller than 10mm. So what I did, and the pitch is very similar, so what I did, I put a 10mm tap in these holes, which was just enough to clean them, you know, to make them a perfect thread, if you like. So then I get a 10mm bolt, and that bit in the middle is the shank of the bolt. So I threaded that 3/8 UNC, and this bit is the remainder of the 12mm bolt. So I can screw this in head first, like that end first, and then the shank will go tight on top of the threads and sort of go tight. And as time goes by, the exhaust gases and the soot and the muck all inside them holes will seize it up, which is good. And then my stud will be stood out on the top with a nut on top. A nut can be dealt with, whereas a stud in there can't be dealt with. You can't get them out 10 years later. Hopefully we don't want them out, but as you see from the stuff I've been doing, you know, you just never know. So that's how the stud is made, what I've done there. And it's just coincidental that the 10mm is just a few thou bigger than the 3/8, therefore was able to clean them threads out fairly good. And then that'll screw in there like a good one, and I'll just wind that right down, double nut it, and wind that right down so that shank it's tight in the casting, and let the years go by and seal it up, which it will. And then I've got two studs in which to put a 3/8 bolt that I can put my tin cowling on with. Put a flat washer on and everything, but it'll be another good job. I'll just put these on here now, double nut them and crack the two tight together when I get it to go on. Come on. It's funny, isn't it? And there you go. Yeah, I'll crack them two tight, wind it in so it goes into tight up to that shank. And that's them two repaired. Then I've just got to make this one here. And I think that's 1/2 inch UNC, that one. So I find something with an 1/2 inch UNC thread on it and sort it out accordingly. So yep, we're getting there. So this stud on the left hand side is a little bit on the short side, and you can see the top of the stud is corroded away. Now the rest of the stud is in good order, and I've got my die on there. I'll just put a flat washer on top. What I'm going to do, I'm going to spot weld around the top and trim it up, and then wind the die off to create the thread. You can't set off from the top because your thread probably not end up matching with the one that's already there, so you've got to start off on the thread. Now I've done things like this before and they've gone alright, not to say that this one will. Because that'd be our own job now to try and warm that up and get that stud out there, being as it's good and firm and planted, just wants this top sorting out a little bit. So we're going to have a crack at that and see what we can do. Okay, so let's put a noggin of weld on the top edge. Hey! So we'll just let him cool down and then we'll file him up. And then a bit unorthodox, but it will save the day. So we'll just let him cool down, and then I've got a socket that will sit on there to pick up the die, so I can screw it. So yeah, take a few minutes to cool down, and then we'll come back to you. Hello, Tobies. Okay, so I just filed around the noggin of weld, look. And now we'll wind the die off, and that should give us a reasonable result of thread. So we'll give that some stick now. Okay, so we'll just give this a bit of a wind off. Can't see what's going on until I take the die stock off, but got a reasonable feel to it. The bugger if it screws the stud out, won't it? Just give it a screw it all again. That's got it. Okay, so there you are. You see how the thread was all corroded off the top. Right, so now we just need to try the nut, make sure it fits. There we go. Now it might, I'm just fiddling there, oh there she goes. Oh no, that's alright, that's a good feel. I thought probably I might have to close the dial. Because the end's not machined, yeah, it's just not quite so easy to start. But anyway, there you go. It's just increased the length of that by, I don't know, for 3 or 4 mil back to the end of the stud. But the thing is now, when I put the trumpet on there and get you focused in, still got a fair bit there. Got, you know, room for a bit of gasket, but I've still got threads inside my nut, whereas before I might have just been struggling. So that saved the stud, saved me a lot of work trying to get it out, and ended up breaking off and then drilling it out, which is never good. So once it's all clamped down, probably, hopefully, with a bit of luck, we will never have to go back in there again. But then, that's famous last words. So yeah, so thin guard studs, trumpet studs. So it just remains for one left to do now, and that's that one there. I've not tried it to see if it's stuck. I'll put a spanner on and see what it does. Have I got a 9/16 spanner here? Oh yes, I have. Yep. Right. So we're in luck with that one. It comes undone, look. So all in all, in fact I might make a stud to put in that one as well. If that's a blind hole, then that'll be good. I'll just screw it right in tight to the bottom of the hole. And then I've got a nut on the outside, and nuts are better to deal with when things have got tight and, you know, 10 year, 5 year down the line. So so yeah, and that's a 9/16 spanner, so that'll be a 3/8 bolt, that one, 3/8 UNC, and I'll make a stud to put in there. I'll find a bolt that's got a good length of thread on it, and then that way I can put a nut on. And for me, I prefer it that way, because then this is hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold, and they rust up and carbon up, and then you hell's home to get a fucking bolt out of them in manifolds. And as it's proved, you know, these all being broke off. But this way, you know, when you've got clamped down in years to come, at least you can warm that nut up and get it off. And that's my thinking on that. So yeah, manifold done. But the carpet's in the way again, look, come on. And the trumpet's machined off, as you see. So we're all in order there. I'm just cleaning a couple of bits and pieces. I've just done the air intake elbow, and I'm now just going to clean this thermostat housing up, which is the original one to the tractor. And it's got a bit of a more of a swan neck here to the later Farmalls, so we'll keep that one on. And like I say, when the gaskets come, it can all go on. I mean, I can make them gaskets, but I've had to buy a headset to get the manifold gaskets and the rocker gasket, so I might as well use the water pump gaskets out of it as well. So yeah, very good. Okay then, boys and girls, that's about it for this one. So we've progressed fairly well. I mean, the manifold's just, you know, sitting on there. My gaskets don't come until 4 o'clock today. Today is Friday, so we ain't got time to wait for them and get the video on for Friday. So yeah, that's pretty much done. There's nothing else you can say really. Hope you enjoyed. We've got a bit of catch up to do next time. Whether I can actually get it finished next time, I don't know. I would like to think I can. Then it'll be another one out of the way. So until then, see you next time.